Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is a great honor and privilege to introduce a good friend of mine, Emergency Management Director Preston Bolin, who has served with the Marion County Sheriff's Office in Ocala and has been a member of our community as a first responder in that capacity for over 32 years. Now, he has been an instructor for the last 25 years for various EMS, fire, and law enforcement courses, and for the last 15 has been facilitating tactical medical training to law enforcement, EMS, and military agencies from around the United States and the world. Director Bolin previously served as an EMS advisor to the Chief Financial Officer for the state of Florida, who is also the state marshal, is how it kind of works out in Florida, and is a retired member of the Urban Search and Rescue Florida Task Force Team 8. Team 8 also was one of the responding teams to the Surfside building collapse in South Florida, tragically last year. Now, this is just a brief summary of Director Bolin's many accomplishments, but based on his vast experience and the insights that he'll be able to provide today, I know that his testimony will be invaluable. In fact, just over the weekend, he called me as another tornado ripped through our district, and it was late, at 11 o'clock at night, and he was out, boots on the ground. So I know, as someone who has been there front and center, he is going to have tremendous insight into this issue. So I thank the director for his continued service to our community, and I am so pleased that he is able to join us here in Washington, D.C. to testify before this committee.
Good morning, Mr. Chair Payne, Ranking Member Cammack, and members. My name is Preston Ball, Emergency Management Director, Marion County Sheriff's Office. I've been a public servant for over 30 years in the fire service as a paramedic, firefighter, and sworn law enforcement officer responding to catastrophic disasters within the state of Florida and across state lines. I'm privileged to come to the Capitol to testify and share experiences and concerns from Marion County, Florida counties, and throughout the nation through lessons learned and to discuss preparedness for our citizens. I have prepared 4 written testimonies provided to you that have an impact on rural counties that affect our citizens to prepare, recover, in catastrophic events. The first one is weather radar coverage. 2, emergency short-term and long-term housing. 3, bidirectional amplifier antennas in schools, hospitals, and large industrial structures. And 4, redundant prime communication towers. Due to time constraints, my verbal testimony opening will concentrate on 2, weather radar coverage and emergency short-term and long-term housing. The first one, weather radar coverage. The National Weather Service activates the emergency alert system most frequently for imminent and dangerous weather conditions, severe weather storms, and tornadoes. The National Weather Service uses the NOAA weather radio as its primary means to activate the emergency alert system. When watches and warnings are issued by the National Weather Service, it triggers alert messages for local authorities. Having the right data at the right time is critical to emergency managers so we can make informed decisions and protect our communities before, during, and after a severe weather event. Currently, rural parts of north central Florida contain dead zones, or zones where tornadoes may not be detected on radar. This has been formally acknowledged by the National Weather Service. The dead zone, where tornadoes may not be detected on radar, is covering a part of north central Florida that has been hit with destructive tornadoes and passed without warning. When the radars are initially established, they were positioned in areas that were already or were anticipated to become densely populated areas. The current radar infrastructure, lack of new radars in fast-growing parts of our country can and has prevented more rural counties and communities from receiving timely warning and notifications. These areas tend to consist of thousands of modular homes and large migrant worker populations that rely on the weather radio to provide them with timely warning. Marion County, Florida's 5th largest county in the state of Florida, is home to over 33,000 modular homes and a large elderly population. Our rural jurisdictions are confronted with these unique challenges, and we must ensure our communities are equipped with the tools and infrastructure needed to ensure that the critical life-saving emergency notifications reach everyone they are intended for. On March 12, 2022, Marion County, Florida experienced an EF1 tornado that went undetected on radar. Because of that, no tornado warnings were issued by the National Weather Service, which in turn did not trigger our local Alert Marion emergency notification system. As a result of this tornado, 184 families had to be relocated in one apartment complex alone, and 259 residential structures affected. Within the past 2 years, Marion County, Florida has experienced 3 confirmed tornadoes that were undetected on radar. Therefore, no warnings were issued. Due to the distance of the county to the closest national weather radar, tornadoes are hard to detect below 10,000 feet. there is a critical need additional federal weather radar coverage in north central Florida. The second one is emergency short-term and long-term housing. Community resilience has become a critical focus for emergency managers and policymakers concerned about disaster risk and vulnerability in rural areas. Following a disaster, finding permanent housing solution for low-income and underserved households may be especially difficult during a housing shortage. Available housing in many high tourist and high income areas may be out of the acceptable rental range for low income households because they lack the financial resources to begin rehabilitation, reconstruction, or obtain permanent housing. During this time, provisions for basic human needs, food, water, and supplies for sanitation and shelter may be in short supply or unavailable. Following the tornado that took place on March 12, 2022 in Marion County, Florida, dozens of residents were instantly without housing. Homes were destroyed and an apartment complex was partially condemned. During these times of rising rent pricing and the very limited availability of homes in the state of Florida, securing temporary housing, both short-term and long-term, possesses critical challenge. The average rent in Marion County, Florida is between $1,500 and $1,700, so when families are faced with being displaced, producing first, last, and security deposits, along with moving, transportation, and utilities can be impossible. The state of Florida has a housing contract, but it would require a block grant by FEMA that allows most flexibility for state and counties. The FEMA Individual Assistance Declaration process is flawed. The current mechanism in place are specifically geared to areas with denser population. Rural counties are usually holistically lower incomes and less tax base versus a dense population with sporadic lower incomes and significant higher tax base. While locally we work with partners such as the American Red Cross United Way to assist with immediate needs, we find there should be an individual assistance declaration process designed for rural, lower income, lower tax base communities. FEMA should have a swifter process in place to assist the state's Division of Emergency Management to assist with emergency housing during state and local declared emergencies and local events. In closing, I thank you for this opportunity to testify before this committee.